Hello, I'm Jeff Hayek. I'm the owner and founder of Velaction, and I run Continuous Improvement Central, and today is another one of our continuous improvement tips of the day. And today's tip is that I would like you to actively learn something every day. And I said it in a very precise way because there's a couple of features to that tip that I want you to retain. And actively means it has to be planned or programmed, that you don't want to just go into every day saying, I'll try and fit it in at some point. So you want to get a routine of when you're learning this. So it could be when you first wake up, you have a plan about what you're going to learn in this first few minutes. It could be that you want to do a podcast or a kind of a learning type of thing on the way to work every day, where you listen to something that's going to teach you during your drive time, or during lunch, you make a plan to read something while you're eating. But you want to have a specific plan and have something thought of in ahead of what you want to learn. So it's not just randomly trying to open a newspaper and learn something or pull out a magazine. You want to say, this is what I want to start learning about, and make a plan that says, these are the things that I want to make myself better at. So you want to have an active plan about what you take on. And I did not say learn something new, because a lot of the learning that you do to get better professionally, or even like in your personal performance in life in general, is where your weaknesses are. So you may know 6 things about something and you want to learn a 7th thing. So it's not something new, but it's taking something you already know and going further with that. So those 2 specific things: be active about what you're learning, and don't necessarily feel like it has to be something new every day. You can take something further every day. So those are kind of the big tips I have for you is, take charge of your personal and professional development like that by owning your learning process. And one of the big things I want to point out before I close out is I am an advocate of classes, because a lot of times there's only, the information you can get out of a class is very unique because you have an instructor, you have somebody who knows it and can teach you like that. I like smaller chunks, but sometimes there's a need to get a bunch of training in right before a specific activity, the Kaizen training sessions before you go on a Kaizen project team. So there's times where there's an application for a bucket of learning all at once, but it's pretty hard to drink all of that up and retain it for a long period of time. A lot of times that kind of learning, you can learn it for the project, but then it kind of evaporates. There's a half-life of education. When you flood yourself with it, that education, that learning diminishes more quickly. If you learn things on a trickle pace, you're a lot more likely to retain those pieces of information. So if you're looking for long-term retention, I'm a big advocate of doing a little bit of training every day. So if you take a course and you have a course that's designed to be like a daily dose of it, 5 minutes a day where you're learning something, you can get better at that. The other thing I want to say is I'd like to see in this kind of learning, what I'm talking about is learn something different, not necessarily something new, but don't just say, okay, this year I'm going to learn a foreign language. I'm going to use Duolingo every morning for a year, because that's good. It's nothing wrong with that. And I recommend that people do that. But it's not the kind of learning that makes you a more versatile or more flexible or more responsive professional, because you're very focused on one thing. And what you want to do is get a broad understanding of things that lets you know what you don't know. So take active approach to your learning, and make sure that you're learning and building and have a good combination of that. So that's all I got for this topic. Have a good day.